Good afternoon, White Plains. Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, I'm about 3 minutes late. A little technical difficulties this afternoon with Facebook. Thank you so much, as always, for taking a few minutes out of your day, either right now live, or maybe you're watching over the weekend, or later on when it's more convenient for you. But I really do appreciate you. We really do appreciate you taking the time to jump in and learn a little bit about what's happening in the district right now via our update, and then of course participating through questions and then hopefully answers. And thanks to all of you who sent your questions in. Just a reminder, you can always send questions to us at the email address of questions at wpcsd.k12.ny.us, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. As always, you can reach out to us here in the office too, and happy to provide you with any information that you need. But let's get started. And again, good afternoon to everybody who's joining us live today, and happy Friday. Hopefully you're enjoying this weather. We're really getting lucky this year, and certainly we're taking advantage of it here in the school district and getting outside as much as we possibly can. It's hard to believe that next weekend is already Halloween. For those who participate in trick-or-treating, just a reminder, please be careful, please be safe, and of course have fun. There's a lot to do in the district. On Friday of next week, there'll be trunk or treat over at the high school, courtesy of our amazing White Plains High School Tigers, and you might want to participate in that as well. Keep an eye out. There's already been flyers, but I know it's all available on the district's website, and certainly we look forward to seeing you. We've had some really great events as we continue to make our way back into a more normalized setting and a more normalized feeling for our kiddos. Have to just give a major shout out to all of our team members, and certainly Matt Cameron and all of our principals and the PTA and the moms and dads who made last Friday's football game senior night for our football players, for our band members, for our cheerleaders. Just an outstanding event. We had hundreds of our Tiger Cubs participate, and hopefully you had a chance to enjoy that. And congratulations again to our seniors in all of our athletics. We've had a great and been having a great fall season at White Plains High School, as you may know. Some really standout performance among our teams. One that pops to mind right now, top of mind, is our volleyball team. Good luck, Tigers. They are still undefeated. I think it's 15-0. So really great work by our student athletes, and of course their coaches and parents and everybody who's in the support system. So congratulations to everybody. Before I jump into our questions today, just a couple of quick updates for you on the COVID-19 front. Good news is certainly that we've not been seeing the same types of impact that we saw this time last year. Of course, we're maintaining vigilance. We're continuing to maintain our health safety standards in the school district, and that's not changing, and that's not going to change. And there were some questions. Some folks saw an article in the newspaper yesterday and had questions about the direction within which White Plains is moving, and we're continuing to follow the health safety standards. They've been working, and of course our parents and guardians and our community members have been doing a great job keeping our children home when they're ill or not feeling well. We are moving into the opportunity now to have for folks to participate in testing. That'll be taking place all throughout the school district, all throughout the year. And if you haven't yet signed up and you're interested in signing up for PCR testing that's taking place, you can still do that. We know that when vaccination becomes available for children ages 5 through to 11, we will also, as we did with the previous, we will also look to offer pop-up vaccination opportunities in the district, again, for parents and guardians of children who they wish for them to be vaccinated. The district continues, we continue, and I continue to recommend parents and guardians to reach out to their healthcare provider, their child's healthcare provider, with any questions related to vaccination or illness, and be guided accordingly there by those health professionals. But just for anybody who saw an article yesterday about masking and so on and so forth, yeah, the White Plains City School District continues to require masks in all of our facilities and on our transport, on our buses, and we will continue to do so. You probably saw that the CDC just re-upped their recommendation that in school settings facial coverings continue. Why? Because again, we haven't been seeing spread throughout our facilities. And of course, that's just one piece of layered mitigation, but it's working. And we want to continue doing things that are going to keep us from having to disrupt our children's school day, and certainly our moms and our dads at home. We want to minimize disruptions for you as well. So that's good news, and good news in Westchester County. Some of you might have heard, we're like close to 90% vaccinated. For folks who are able to be vaccinated in Westchester County, that's a tremendous number. And of course, that goes along with the efforts that have been taking place since we started to have the availability of vaccines. So that's good news. The numbers in Westchester County are also declining. Numbers of active COVID cases are also declining. And we even had a period of time, and we may still be there, I just don't know, where we didn't lose anyone to COVID-19 in Westchester County, which is really great news and very different than what we experienced months ago. So we're making progress. We're steadily headed in the right direction right now. And here in school, we're continuing to contend with some of the challenges associated with moving back out into public. We anticipated challenges as we had discussed over time, both at reopening committee, even here during community updates. And some of the challenges that we're seeing were those that were anticipated, and some of the challenges that we're seeing are novel. And we're looking at ways, and I'm sure there'll be questions associated with those. We're looking at ways to attend to those on a daily basis in our facilities. I always start out by thanking people, and I'm going to do that today because it's important. I want to thank everybody in the White Plains City School District for everything that you continue to do and all of your support and your flexibility and patience as we've been navigating these sort of uncharted waters. I also want to recognize our Board of Education. It is Board of Education Recognition Week. I want to thank the board for all of their leadership and support, as always. I do also want to recognize our principals. It's Principal Recognition Month in October, and you're doing all a great job, and we really do appreciate your leadership and your collaboration and your support. We also highlighted some of the great things that are taking place in our elementary schools on Monday evening at our Board of Education meeting. We had some wonderful liaisons meet with us from the high school. And if you haven't watched Monday's Board of Education meeting, it is available. There's a link to it on the Facebook page, but also on the district's website. Take a look. There was some really great things, really great updates as well provided for the community. So a lot of good news to share. I am going to be jumping into our questions right now. Just a reminder, when I finish the questions that were submitted, I will look in the comment section. I may not see your comment. I may not be able to address your comment today if it's in the section, but as always, you can feel free to reach out to us here in the office or email, whatever works best for you. All right, let's jump right into these questions. And I know Mrs. Torres is in the background, and she's preparing to assist as well, and I want to thank Liza for always doing that during our community updates. It's super helpful. Here we go. Okay, first question. Given the and again, I'll read the questions, and if I leave words out or make them shorter, that's just for time's sake. Given the recent concerning social media posts at the high school, along with reports of increases in vaping at school, will there be district-wide assemblies or speakers that will come in to address these issues with students? The administration at the high school says the teachers are discussing these issues with the students, but we need experts in these areas to come in. As a parent, I'd like to see more action taken by the school, more than just teachers discussing with students, maybe an assembly. We'll talk about real-life ramifications, misuse of social media, vaping, and et cetera. Thank you for your question. Very, very timely question, timely issue. First thing, moms and dads, parents and guardians. These are topics that we need to discuss with our children. Absolutely. The school needs to reinforce, schools everywhere, not just White Plains, need to reinforce these topics with our children. However, these conversations must begin in the home. Let's start with social media. I cannot find, except maybe on Facebook, connecting with family, something like that. If you do a cost-benefit analysis, children, teenagers utilizing social media, it's entertainment by and large. And I can't find a reason that's compelling for me to say that, oh yes, absolutely, all teenagers should be using TikTok. Can't find it. Oh yes, absolutely, we should all be on Instagram. Can't find it. What I can find and what I do find and what you know is that more often than not, the temptation and the potential for problems to arise on social media is really what we find. So what do we find? We find kids engaging on social media in ways that are inappropriate. We find it misusing social media, putting out media content, videos, pictures, whatever the case may be, that causes problems. If it's possible, and I know nobody likes to be the bad guy, I don't either. If it's possible, I would say no social media. Why be on social media if that could potentially be an area where we're going to get in trouble? So I know that's hard, maybe even impossible. But I think we really need to recognize that when we're talking about students, particularly students at the developmental ages, where we know neurologically it's difficult for them to recognize consequences and unintended consequences in a single moment, removing these types of temptations goes a long way to protecting our kids. When it gets to the school, it's already too late. If I've identified a video that's inappropriate, or I've identified a text message or a picture on Instagram that has our kids in it and shouldn't be there, it's already too late. What we need to make sure our children understand is that engaging this way in this manner on these platforms, number one, is lasting forever, but number two, can be completely avoided simply by not engaging. We also are learning that some of these social media platforms could potentially be skewing the perception of reality. And some of us as adults know that too. The algorithms that the platforms use are going to drive you to areas that the algorithm believes interest you. And they can be negative areas. It doesn't have to be something that's necessarily positive or useful. So I definitely agree. It's a timely question. It's a timely topic. And we absolutely all must engage our children and help them to recognize the dangers associated with social media. Yes, absolutely at the school, and yes, certainly at a different level than a brief conversation in the classroom. Assemblies, experts, all those things. Sure, those are great ideas. I would encourage you to have conversations at the building level about those types of ideas. I do think that in a lot of ways we are all experts at this because we recognize the dangers associated with misuse of social media and technology. With vaping, no different than utilizing the analog or traditional tobacco products, right? We know that this is going to have deleterious health effects down the road. We don't know exactly what they are because it hasn't been around long enough, but you certainly don't want to be part of that test case. And so again, recognizing and sharing with children and really doing everything we can to remove the potential for access will go a long way into protecting our children. I agree with you, and I think it would be great to have more conversations and to bring folks in to talk about it. But I will also just tip hat to our teachers. Sometimes when you're having these types of conversations with students, and we know this, maybe we even remember this, they're more meaningful when they're coming from people who you know and who you trust. And who care about you. So, it is important for all of us to be talking to our kids about using social media appropriately and also about avoiding not just vape, but all drugs that could potentially hurt us or hurt them. Absolutely. Thank you for your question. Next question. Okay. There is a state mandate requiring that masks be worn in all K-12 schools, and our reopening committee voted 27-1 to uphold masks prior to Governor Hochul's order. The continued use of masks in our schools comports with the CDC guidelines. Picture Day at the high school on 9/13 and 9/14 was held inside the gym on both days. This was a direct violation of the state mandate. Masked photos at the high school are now scheduled, makeup photos at the high school are now scheduled for 10/27 and are to be indoors in the media center. Number one, we are obligated to follow the state mandate. Number two, we are obligated to be guided by the reopening committee. Number three, we should not be sending mixed messages. Number four, we should continue to be guided by CDC. Number five, here's a question. Can you please address the above and put an end to school-created violations of the mandate? Picture makeup should not be happening indoors. It's not the first time that unmasking has been attempted in the high school. We are putting members of the community at risk by violating the mandate. I don't understand why it has to be revisited again and again, all caps, again and again. Thank you very much for your email and for your question. This probably would, I would have definitely been able to sort of hopefully help with this email. Don't in the future feel free to send these types of emergent or potentially time sensitive questions to us directly. You don't have to wait for a Facebook Live. I don't know the answer to the reasoning or what occurred or how the distancing took place with regard to pictures. I do know parents and guardians probably don't want school pictures with their children being masked. So potentially maybe outdoors would have been a different or maybe a better venue, certainly a better venue. I can absolutely address it, and we'll take a look at it. So I appreciate you bringing this up. Thank you. Next question. Why are there not monitors in the restrooms and more rounds made in the hallways at school? And that's the question. So there aren't monitors in restrooms, and you don't want monitors in restrooms. You can imagine for the number of reasons why. However, monitoring and supervision of our children in our hallways is really important. And we are looking, we are not looking, but we are going to be increasing the number of folks who are going to help our team supervise in our buildings, and that's something that's in the works right now. There is absolutely no doubt that more supervision is great. However, what we also need is we need to continue to work with our children to reacclimate them to the school day and work with and support our parents and guardians at home so that they can also work with their children to help reacclimate into the school day. This is one of those areas that I was talking about that we kind of anticipated, but we're seeing it, and we're seeing it nationally, is a little bit of a larger issue than we had initially thought. For some of our children to transition back into the structured school day has been a challenge. In a lot of ways, there hasn't been the social connection that is so important for children and all humans, particularly in the developmental stages over the last 16 to 18 months, and it's been a little bit of a reacclimation period that's been taking place. So we're working on it. We're working with our students, our teams at our schools are addressing issues proactively, and then certainly if something arises when it does come up. But we will be increasing supervision, but we won't be putting supervision in restrooms. Near them, for sure, but not in restrooms. Next question. Thank you for your question. Is there a blanket policy among all elementary schools regarding birthday celebrations? There seems to be inconsistencies in how schools are handling birthday celebrations. There's not a birthday celebration policy, but I absolutely would suggest reaching out to the building principal. Maybe this is something that I want to talk about at the PTA level to be able to see what's what with birthday celebrations and what's different. And the next question, is there a blanket policy on school visitors and volunteers in the building? There seem to be inconsistencies as well. Well, in terms of volunteers, yes, there's policy related to volunteers, so there shouldn't be any inconsistencies. Happy to talk that through with you if you want to connect. In terms of visitors, right now we have limited visitors to folks who are scheduled to come to the building, and that's all connected to trying to reduce the amount of potential exposure in the building, obviously to reduce or potentially reduce disruption. So that should be consistent, and again, happy to talk with you through that. And then, is the district informing the elementary schools what is or isn't permissible, or do principals decide independently what they choose? No, we all work together. So we work as a team. We don't have a top. We try not to have a top-down approach. We have seen a great benefit to collaborating at all levels among all the members in the organization. Everybody should be on the same page, but of course there are a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts, so happy to talk through with you in more detail anytime. And thank you for those questions. Next question, homework policy. So these are good. We are now moving from COVID-19 questions to typical school-related questions, and that makes me happy. So I'm very happy about that. Homework policy. Is there a district homework policy for students in K through 5? Kind of like length, time, quantity, etc. Is there homework to be given on weekends? Some districts have documented policies. I don't find one on our website. You're absolutely right. We don't have policy on homework, district policy, because we work with all of our professionals in our buildings to identify the best type of homework to provide. We agree that kids shouldn't just be assigned homework for the sake of assigning homework, right? That's kind of how we grew up in some ways, or maybe you didn't, but I know my experience was probably pretty typical. And some of the homework was just kind of rote, right? What we'd like to do, and what we try to do, is to have homework be an extension of the learning in the day's classroom and something special that can be done at home, not necessarily just sort of drills or memorization. Now, there are, of course, times when that has to be part of the homework experience, but we try not to. The other thing that is really important to remember about homework is that homework is a unique experience for everybody. I might take 45 minutes to do the same thing that you might get done in 10 minutes. So it's a pretty individualized experience depending upon the learner. What I always encourage parents and guardians to do is to connect directly with their child's teacher or teachers related to their experience, their family's experience with homework. It's important for teachers to know how that's playing out in your house. We never want children to be frustrated or to feel like they're overwhelmed with homework. And getting that information from home to the classroom is really, really important. We also want to make sure that parents and guardians understand that homework shouldn't be a time where there's yelling or tears or additional stress in the family. That we don't want that to be the case either. And if you're experiencing that, please definitely let us know so we can help. But with regard to sort of a hard and fast policy, we don't have that. We do try to approach the homework experience again in a more modern way, and also in a way that I think tips the hat to the individuality of each child. Thank you for those questions. Next question is related to personnel, specifically teacher absences. What is the protocol of teachers? The question says teachers, but I'll put all personnel in there. Will be out for an extended period of time, maybe quarantine or a family emergency. Should substitutes be grading work? Should parents be alerted? I ask because we've experienced, unfortunately, a teacher who's been out for a long period of time. Grades haven't been posted, and there really isn't a way for parents to assess whether students understand the material. Thanks very much for your question. I appreciate it. This is definitely one of those cases where we would want to connect with the building leadership team, talk about what we're experiencing, what you're experiencing with regard to this particular absence, work that the children are doing, that they're handing in, that's maybe not being assessed, that you're not getting feedback on. We want to be able to work that out. So I would absolutely encourage a call to the building principal if you haven't already done that to connect in this issue. The protocol with regard to filling a spot that someone's going to be out for a long period of time really depends on the circumstances. Sometimes somebody goes out for a day, they anticipate they're going to be back the next day, and then they're out for a week. Sometimes they're out for a day, anticipate they're going to be back the next day, and they're out for 3 months. If we know and we've identified a period of time that's typically longer than, I would say, 4 weeks, we do attempt to identify somebody who would come in as a leave replacement for that teacher. Sometimes even shorter if we know that somebody's going to be out for a period of time. But sometimes we don't know because of the nature of the health emergency or the family, whatever the case may be that the individual is going through. So it really is unique. It's unique. It depends on what the situation is. But we're happy to talk that through with you in more specifics related to this your experience here. And thank you for your question. This is a question on curriculum, particularly Spanish language. Could you please explain why Spanish language is not being taught to students who are not in the dual language program for reasons which are not related to the love or respect of the language and still like to learn from it? Thank you for your question. So my guess is this is probably related to elementary school. Certainly as you get to the older, you progress through the grade levels, you have a language course that you're choosing. We don't have Spanish in the core courses at the elementary school right now. honestly, not because we wouldn't want to, like so many other disciplines, but just because of the amount that we can fit into the children's day. So always happy to talk more about that. And again, a great discussion for PTA meeting or for principals coffee, but definitely appreciate the question. And this is a question about lockers and specifically middle school volleyball. My concern is that children are carrying full backpacks full of books, notebook, lunch bag, water bottle, iPad, coat, and an instrument. They can be hunched over and definitely tired from carrying a backpack all day. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. So, number one, at Eastview, they have a locker, so they're not carrying everything to classes. When will they be getting lockers at Highlands? And you didn't put this, but I'll put it, or the high school. So we are working that out. One of the challenges, of course, with lockers is that they're right next to each other. And when children are passing and during common passing time, there's absolutely no way to distance appropriately or try to distance appropriately when the children are at the lockers. But we do absolutely agree with you. Kids shouldn't have to be walking around with all their books and all of their stuff, and definitely that would have a physical impact on them. So we would like to be able to address this issue. If you haven't yet, I would please ask that you reach out to either your child's counselor or the principal, because this may be something that's not happening for every child, and it might be something that you and some other people are experiencing as well, but we want to be able to help. Here's a second question. After school volleyball team at the Highlands has one coach. It's impossible to coach, to give all the students all the attention and instruction. The team is not getting better. Will they be assigning an assistant coach? Thanks for your question. I don't think we have an assistant coach in the works right now. I don't know if the team's getting better or not, but I do appreciate your question. And if there are concerns related to the number of students to coaches, we typically hear from the coaches and or the athletic department. So happy to circle back and take a look into that for you. Next question. This one is related to indoor activities after children 5 through 11 are given the opportunity to be vaccinated. So it starts out this way. When the FDA approves the vaccine for children 5 to 11, will our district, and then there are a series of questions, I'll take them one at a time. Will our district allow the schools to host indoor events such as concert and performances? So we are already ramping up for indoor events like concerts and performances. That's in the works right now, even absent the 5 to 11 vaccine. Will the district allow children to go on field trips to indoor venues such as museums and aquariums? Again, field trips are being sort of assessed on a case-by-case basis depending upon where the children may be visiting, and in some instances, it's actually the venue that would be receiving the children that have the restrictions in place that limit our ability to attend. So the short answer is yes. Will the district allow 4th and 5th grade children to participate in the ballroom dance program? That's a great question. I know we love the ballroom dance program. I think probably this year ballroom dancing is on hold. Again, there's an assumption here that when the vaccine is released 5 to 11, that there will be a large response to get it. We don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. We'll have to see. But as soon as we can get back to things like ballroom dancing, and we absolutely want to. And then the last one, allow parents to come inside the school building to attend and volunteer for school events. Yes, absolutely. That is something we want to be able to do as soon as possible. Thank you for those questions. And then this question is related to technology. What about parents who do not know how to use technology? Sometimes it's difficult for me, even though I try to learn, but it's hard for me to enter and to complete the pages that are provided by the school. Thank you very much for this question. And you know what? You are not alone. Many of us feel like sometimes technology is moving so fast and it's a lot for us to learn, especially when our children are transitioning from one school to another. There's a lot there. We can help. We absolutely can assist in not only kind of walking you through and helping you with questions you have about applications or platforms that the district utilizes, but certainly please don't feel like you have to kind of figure it out all on your own. Please reach out to us. feel free to reach out to your child's school. We even offer from time to time parent programming where you can learn how to use different platforms, and that those opportunities take place throughout the entire academic year. So definitely thanks for your question. Thanks for putting that out there, and also speaking up for maybe some parents and guardians who feel the same way but just haven't said anything. All right, so those are all the questions that I had from the emails. I will now go into our comment section. And hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, Mr. Buckwald. That's really nice. Thank you, everybody, for saying hi. I also want to thank you for just kind of reaching out and saying hi from time to time. That's been lovely. Hi, are we not having cases or just not reporting? Thanks for your question. No, we report every case that we have. The number of incidents of COVID-19 has dramatically declined. Thank you very much for pointing that out. But please know, everybody, anytime we identify a case of COVID-19, we report it. There is no benefit to us not telling you when we're seeing cases and where we're seeing cases. That's how we avoid more cases. So thanks for that question. That was great. Hi, Miss Lee. All right, a few questions if we're allowed. You got it. Are vaccinated and masked parents allowed into the building to support building level activities like the book fair? We can talk about that. We have not gotten to that point yet. We absolutely can talk about that in terms of volunteers, particularly vaccinated folks, masks on, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in the coming weeks. Thanks for that question. And can we celebrate birthdays in elementary schools with sealed and perhaps store-bought and allergy-friendly snacks once again? Great question. Everybody loves a great birthday celebration. Definitely reach out to your child's school. We are, in a lot of ways, and this isn't COVID related, we're constrained, right, in terms of potential allergens that our children have in our classes, and we want to make sure that nobody's potentially exposed to something that could be harmful to them, but we also want to celebrate our kiddos' birthdays as well. Thanks for those questions. Hi, Joanna. Will testing be available on school premises? Testing will be available on school premises. That's going to be starting up or ramping up in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for that question. Hi, Seth. Thank you, Seth. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's see. I see Liza answering questions. Thanks, Liza. Thanks, Nurse Resiopo. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm happy to do it. Hi, Danny. Is it hard to get a substitute teacher? It is hard to find substitute teachers, Danny. Thanks. My son's teacher was out for 2 weeks and only had a sub for 4. It is really hard. And the Board of Education has been amazing about this. We've actually even increased the substitute rate, but it is hard to find folks who are available on a day-to-day basis to substitute. If you're interested in being a substitute teacher, please visit the district's website. In the employment section, you can see what's required to be able to sign up to be a substitute teacher. If you're home, if you're around, if you're interested, we'd love to have you. So please feel free to take a look, and if you're interested, sign up, and we'll be reaching out to you. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for your question. How do elementary school parents get access to their kids' school email addresses to get Coving tested email? Yeah, thanks for that. I know some parents and guardians didn't have access, or children didn't have access to their email. If your child still doesn't have access to your email, we are also in the process of now compiling a different way to get this email to you. We're compiling adult email addresses as well. It's taking longer, which we knew it would. We're going to do that and get that to you. If you are interested and you have no access to email, please just reach out to your child's school nurse. School nurse will be able to help you and make sure that you get included in the voluntary testing that's going to be taking place. I think Mrs. Torres is coming in to give me more questions right now. Am I right, Liza? That might be it. I don't see any more questions. So thank you again, and I hope that these updates continue or are useful to you. I'm happy to keep doing them, happy to even talk about things that are not COVID related. Liza's giving me the 1 minute sign, so I'm going to wait a second because I guess she has some questions for me. You don't? Oh, she's saying no questions. All right, thank you. So thanks again, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend. Just a reminder, again, Halloween next week. Have fun, but please stay safe. Social media, great conversation to have with our kiddos on a Friday night. Maybe we want to reinforce that this evening. and also making sure that we're doing our very best in school every day. We are so appreciative of everybody in the White Plains City School District community. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay WP proud. We will see you next time.